The sun was barely rising, casting a soft, golden glow over the rolling hills of Ajoa, a small village deep in rural Nigeria. In the distance, the chirping of birds echoed through the trees, but Chika hardly noticed. Her mind was focused on the path ahead, a long, dusty road that led to the village school. Chika was 12, but her slim figure and ragged appearance made her seem younger. Her school uniform, once blue and crisp, was now faded and worn, with the hem fraying at the edges. The shoes on her feet, if they could even still be called shoes, were scuffed and torn, barely holding together as she walked the familiar route. Dust clung to her skin, and no matter how many times she tried to brush it off, it always seemed to come back. She wasn't like the other girls at her school, the ones with shiny shoes and neatly pressed uniforms. Her family couldn't afford those luxuries. Her mother, Ngozi, worked tirelessly on the farm, but the money was never enough. Her father, once a strong presence in their home, had grown distant after losing his job at the factory. As Chika trudged down the road, her heart felt heavy, but her spirit remained unbroken. She had dreams, big dreams, that stretched far beyond the dusty roads of her village. But for now, she had to face the harsh reality of school, where her appearance made her an easy target for bullies. The village school wasn't far, but every step felt like a battle for Chika. The weight of the stairs and whispers awaiting her hung over her like a dark cloud. Even before she entered the schoolyard, she could already hear the taunts in her mind, the cruel words that had become part of her daily life. "Look at her, so dirty, like she rolled in the mud," one of the boys would sneer. "She doesn't even own a decent pair of shoes," another girl would mock, laughing with her friends. Chika swallowed the lump in her throat as she approached the school gates. She had grown used to these insults, or at least that's what she told herself. But deep down, every word stung. She clenched her fists, reminding herself that she wasn't there for them. She was there for her future. As she walked into the schoolyard, the familiar scene unfolded, children laughing and playing, some whispering behind their hands when they saw her. She kept her head down, focusing on the small notebook clutched in her hands. It was old and tattered, but it held her most precious possession, her notes. Education was her key to a better life, and no matter how hard things got, Chika refused to give up. "Hey, Chika!" a voice called out, breaking through her thoughts. She turned to see Ifunanya, her only friend in the entire school, waving at her from the corner of the yard. Ifunanya was a bright, cheerful girl who, unlike the others, didn't care about Chika's appearance. She had a heart of gold, and for that, Chika was endlessly grateful. Chika smiled and made her way over. "Morning, Ifunanya," she said, her voice soft but warm. "Morning. I was waiting for you. We have a big exam today, remember?" Ifunanya's eyes sparkled with excitement, though Chika sensed a hint of nervousness in her voice. Chika nodded. She remembered all too well. The exam today was important, the first step toward qualifying for a prestigious scholarship. It was Chika's only chance to escape the life she had known, a chance to go to a better school, a chance to change her future. But it wasn't going to be easy. As they walked toward the classroom, Ifunanya chattered on about the exam, but Chika's mind wandered. The thought of the scholarship filled her with both hope and dread. It was her way out, but the pressure weighed heavily on her. She knew she had to do well, not just for herself, but for her family. Inside the classroom, Chika felt the familiar weight of everyone's stares. The desks around her were filled with children, some polishing their shoes or adjusting their spotless uniforms. She could hear their whispers, faint but unmistakable. Why does she even bother coming to school like that? She should just stay home and spare herself the embarrassment. Chica bit the inside of her cheek, refusing to let the words affect her. She had learned to push them away, to focus on the bigger picture. If she succeeded in getting the scholarship, none of this would matter anymore. The teacher, Mr. Okoye, entered the room, and the chatter quickly died down. He was a tall man with a stern face, but there was kindness in his eyes when he looked at Chica. Unlike some of the other teachers, Mr. Okoye had always seen her potential. He never looked at her with pity or disgust, but rather with respect. "All right, class, today's exam is a very important one," Mr. Okoye began, his voice calm but firm. "This exam will determine who qualifies for the scholarship. I want you all to do your best, but remember, this is just the beginning. Hard work and dedication will take you far, but only if you keep pushing yourselves." Chica took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly as she gripped her pen. She could feel the weight of everyone's expectations, especially her own. She had spent countless nights studying by candlelight, poring over her notes until her eyes ached. Now it all came down to this. As Mr. Okoye handed out the exam papers, Chica closed her eyes for a moment to center herself. She thought of her mother, of the sacrifices she had made just to send her to school. She thought of the future she wanted, the future she deserved. With that thought, she opened her eyes and began to write. A mother's love. Chica's mother, Ngozi, sat by the window of their small, crumbling home, working tirelessly on the pile of laundry in front of her. The lines of worry on her face seemed deeper today, as though the weight of the world had settled firmly on her shoulders. She had always known that life would be hard. From the moment she married Ifeanyi, she had braced herself for the challenges ahead. But nothing could have prepared her for the struggles that followed. When Ifeanyi lost his job at the factory, everything changed. The once proud, hard-working man she had fallen in love with seemed to wither before her eyes. He spent his days in silence, barely looking at her or Chica. His absence, even when he was physically present, was a wound that never seemed to heal. Ngozi sighed as she looked out the window, her eyes following the path that led to the school. She thought of Chica, her sweet, determined daughter, and felt a surge of pride mixed with sorrow. Chica was so much like her, strong, resilient, and full of dreams. But unlike Ngozi, Chica had the potential to escape the life they were trapped in. If only they could hold on long enough, the sound of footsteps broke her thoughts. She turned to see Ifeanyi standing in the doorway, his face unreadable. He leaned against the frame, his eyes downcast, as though the weight of his failures was too much to bear. "Chica's at school," Ngozi said softly, her voice thick with emotion. "Today's the exam for the scholarship." Ifeanyi didn't respond, but the flicker of pain in his eyes told her he had heard. "She's going to make it," Ngozi continued, her voice growing stronger. "She's going to win that scholarship and she's going to get out of here. She'll have a better life, Ifeanyi. I know she will." For a moment, Ifeanyi stood in silence, the words hanging between them. Then, without a word, he turned and walked away. Ngozi watched him go, her heart aching. She wanted to reach out to him, to tell him that it wasn't too late for them to fix things, but she didn't know how. All she could do was hope that Chica would succeed, that her daughter would be the one to break the cycle of poverty and despair that had trapped their family for generations. Chica's mother, Ngozi, sat by the window of their small, crumbling home, her hands tirelessly working through the pile of laundry in front of her. The lines of worry on her face seemed deeper today, as if the weight of the world had settled firmly on her shoulders. She had always known life would be difficult. From the moment she married Ifeanyi, she had braced herself for the challenges ahead. But nothing could have prepared her for the struggles that followed. When Ifeanyi lost his job at the factory, everything changed. The once proud and hard-working man she had fallen in love with seemed to wither before her eyes. He spent his days in silence, barely looking at her or Chika. His absence, even when he was physically present, was a wound that never seemed to heal. Ngozi sighed as she looked out the window, her eyes following the path that led to the school. She thought of Chika, her sweet, determined daughter, and felt a surge of pride mixed with sorrow. Chika was so much like her, strong, resilient, and full of dreams. But unlike Ngozi, Chika had the potential to escape the life they were trapped in, if only they could hold on long enough. The sound of footsteps broke her from her thoughts. She turned to see Ifeanyi standing in the doorway, his face unreadable. He leaned against the frame, his eyes downcast, as though the weight of his failures was too much to bear. "Chika's at school," Ngozi said softly, her voice thick with emotion. "Today is the exam for the scholarship." Ifeanyi didn't respond, but the flicker of pain in his eyes told her he had heard. "She's going to make it," Ngozi continued, her voice growing stronger. "She's going to win that scholarship, and she's going to get out of here. She'll have a better life, Ifeanyi. I know she will." For a moment, Ifeanyi stood there in silence, the words hanging between them. Then, without a word, he turned and walked away. As Ngozi watched him go, her heart aching, she wanted to reach out to him, to tell him it wasn't too late for them to fix things, but she didn't know how. All she could do was hope that Chika would succeed, that her daughter would be the one to break the cycle of poverty and despair that had trapped their family for generations. The exam lasted for hours, but to Chika it felt like a lifetime. Every word she wrote, every answer she calculated was a reflection of her future. She had poured her heart into her studies, and now everything depended on this moment. She barely noticed the passing of time as she worked with a focus that left no room for doubt. Around her, the classroom was silent, except for the scratching of pens on paper and the occasional sigh of frustration from one of the other students. For Chika, the world outside the exam hall ceased to exist. When the bell rang, signaling the end of the exam, Chika's heart raced. She put down her pen, her hand trembling from exhaustion. The other students began packing up their things, the tension in the room finally breaking. But for Chika, the real anxiety had just begun. As she walked out of the classroom, Ifunanya caught up with her, a bright smile on her face. "How did it go? Do you think you did well?" Chika gave a small, uncertain nod. "I think so, but I'm not sure. I hope it's enough." "If it's enough?" "Chika, you've worked harder than anyone I know. I'm sure you'll get it." Ifunanya's optimism was contagious, but Chika couldn't shake the lingering doubts. The scholarship results wouldn't be announced for another week, and in that time, Chika knew she would have to face her usual challenges. But for the first time in a long while, hope flickered inside her. Perhaps, just perhaps, things were about to change. Chika returned home later that afternoon to find her mother sitting outside the house, her hands busy with her sewing work. Ngozi's face lit up when she saw her daughter approaching, and she quickly wiped her hands on her apron before pulling Chika into a warm embrace. "How was the exam, my child?" she asked softly, her voice full of hope. Chika felt a lump form in her throat as she met her mother's eyes. There was so much riding on this, not just for her, but for the entire family. She smiled weakly and nodded. "It was hard, Mama, but I think I did my best." Ngozi squeezed her daughter's hand, her pride evident in her expression. "Your best is all we can ask for. I know you will make us proud." But as much as Ngozi tried to stay optimistic, the reality of their situation loomed large. There was still no money coming in, and the farm wasn't yielding enough crops to sustain them. Every day was a struggle just to put food on the table. That evening, as they sat down to their modest meal, Chika's father, Ifeanyi, barely spoke. He had grown more withdrawn over the past months, his frustration with his own failures festering into bitterness. Chika watched him carefully, noting the tired lines on his face and the way his hands trembled slightly as he ate. "Mama, what will happen if I don't get the scholarship?" Chika asked quietly, not meeting her father's gaze. Ngozi shot her daughter a sharp look, as if to warn her against speaking such thoughts aloud. "You will get it," she said firmly, her voice leaving no room for argument. "We must have faith, Chika. You've worked too hard for anything else." But in the silence that followed, the unspoken fear hung between them like a dark cloud. If Chika didn't win the scholarship, what would become of their dreams? The week leading up to the announcement of the scholarship winner was agonizing. Every day, Chika woke up with a heavy heart, unsure of what the future held. School became a blur as the days passed, and even Ifunanya's cheerful presence couldn't shake the tension that clung to Chika like a second skin. Finally, the day arrived. The entire school gathered in the assembly hall, the air buzzing with anticipation. Chika stood near the back, her hands clenched tightly at her sides. She felt the weight of every stare, every whisper, but kept her focus on the front of the room, where the headmaster, Mr. Okeke, stood. "As you all know," Mr. Okeke began, his deep voice carrying over the murmur of the students, "this scholarship is a great opportunity for one of our brightest students. It is not only a chance for academic advancement, but also a stepping stone toward a better future." Chika held her breath. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, each beat echoing in her ears. "The student who will be awarded this year's scholarship," Mr. Okeke continued, pausing for effect, "is none other than Chika Ifediora." For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Chika blinked, unable to believe what she had just heard. It wasn't real. It couldn't be real. But then, the sound of applause filled the room, and Ifunanya's voice rose above the noise as she cheered for her friend. "Chika, you did it!" Chika felt her legs go weak, and before she knew it, tears were streaming down her face. She had done it. She had won the scholarship. Her dreams were no longer just distant fantasies. They were within her reach. Winning the scholarship changed everything. Chika's acceptance into the prestigious school in the city opened doors that had previously been closed to her. For the first time in her life, she had access to resources that would allow her to truly thrive. But the transition wasn't easy. Moving to the city meant leaving her village, her family, and Ifunanya behind. The new school was overwhelming, filled with students from wealthy backgrounds. Though she no longer faced the same bullying she had in her village, Chika still felt out of place. Her clothes were cleaner now, her uniform pressed, but the sense of not belonging clung to her like an old habit. The city was a world of contrasts, tall buildings, shiny cars, and busy streets that never seemed to sleep. It was exciting, but also intimidating. Chika often found herself missing the quiet of the village, the familiar faces, and the comforting presence of her mother. Despite the challenges, Chika remained focused. She threw herself into her studies, determined to prove that she deserved the scholarship she had been given. Her teachers noticed her dedication, and soon she began to excel in her classes. but there were still moments when doubt crept in. There were nights when she lay awake, wondering if she would ever truly fit in with the other students. They spoke of vacations abroad, gadgets and toys she had never seen. She felt the gap between her life and theirs, and it sometimes seemed impossible to bridge. As time went on, Chica began to make new friends at her new school, but the adjustment wasn't without its challenges. While some students admired her for winning the scholarship, others treated her with indifference or subtle condescension. One of the toughest moments came during an inter-school debate competition. Chica, known for her intelligence and eloquence, was chosen to represent her school. It was an honor, but the pressure was immense. She stood on the stage, her heart pounding in her chest, facing a crowd of unfamiliar faces. Her opponent was a girl named Amara, the daughter of a wealthy businessman, and she carried herself with an air of confidence that made Chica feel small. Amara's arguments were sharp and polished, and for a moment Chica doubted her ability to compete. But as she stood there, gripping the podium, Chica remembered where she had come from. She had faced bigger challenges than this. She had fought her way through poverty, through bullying, through a life that had been stacked against her from the beginning. She would not back down now. With renewed determination, Chica delivered her argument with passion and clarity, her voice unwavering as she made her case. By the end of the debate, it was clear to everyone in the room who had won. Chica's success in the debate competition was only the beginning. Over the next few years, she continued to excel academically, and her reputation as a hard-working, brilliant student grew. Teachers admired her, and even her peers began to see her in a new light. Back in the village, Chica's family celebrated every one of her achievements. Ngozi beamed with pride whenever she received news of her daughter's success, while Ifeanyi, though still distant, began to acknowledge the sacrifices Chica had made to reach her goals. Despite all her accomplishments, Chica never forgot her roots. She returned to the village during school breaks, spending time with her family and reconnecting with Ifunanya. She helped out on the farm, visited her old school, and even tutored younger students, passing on the lessons she had learned. During one of these visits, Chica realized something important. The scholarship, the success, the opportunities, these were all incredible gifts. But what truly mattered was using those gifts to give back to the people who had supported her along the way. She became determined to return to her village one day, not just as a successful scholar, but as a teacher, a mentor, and a beacon of hope for the children who were just like her. Years passed, and Chica's journey took her far from the small village she had once called home. She graduated from university with honors and received prestigious job offers in the city. But as she stood on the threshold of the future she had worked so hard for, one thing became clear. She had to go back. Chica returned to her village, now a woman of knowledge, strength, and purpose. The village hadn't changed much, but the people greeted her with admiration and respect. She was no longer the dirty schoolgirl who had been mocked and bullied. She was now a symbol of what could be achieved through determination and hard work. Her family welcomed her with open arms, and Ifunanya, now a mother herself, couldn't stop beaming with pride as they reunited. Chica knew that her journey was far from over. There was still much work to be done, and she was ready to take on the challenges that lay ahead. With the help of her community, Chica established a school in the village, offering free education to children who, like her, had once dreamed of a better life. She became a mentor, a teacher, and a guiding light for the next generation. Though her journey had been long and difficult, Chica knew that every struggle, every setback, had led her to this moment. She had overcome the odds, defied the expectations placed upon her, and emerged stronger than ever. Years later, as Chica sat in her office at the school she had built, she looked out the window at the children playing outside. They were the future, just as she had once been, full of dreams and aspirations. And she was there to help them achieve those dreams. Chica's story had become an inspiration, not just to her village, but to people all over the region. Her journey from the poor, dirty schoolgirl to a respected educator was a testament to the power of perseverance and the importance of education. As she reflected on her life, Chica smiled. She had come a long way from the days of hiding in the bathroom, ashamed of her appearance. She had faced countless obstacles and emerged victorious. And now she was ready to pass on the lessons she had learned to the next generation. Her legacy was one of hope, strength, and resilience. It served as a reminder that no matter where you come from, no matter how difficult the road may be, you can achieve greatness if you are willing to work hard and never give up. And with that, Chica stood up, ready to face whatever challenges the future held. To be continued. Please subscribe to my channel, Time of Tales, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Also, like and share.